Just packing up and ready to go there when that news came through to me that Liverpool have, and I said to you just a couple of moments ago, they need to formalise that informal interest with a formal offer, and the news just in the last couple of moments that Liverpool have done exactly that, and they have made a formal approach to Newcastle United for Alexander Isak with a bid, as we understand it, in excess of £100 million. We don't know the exact figure at this stage, but Newcastle have knocked that offer back. They've rejected that offer. One, the figure doesn't meet their valuation of the player. Two, they don't want to sell the player anyway. And three, they have yet to bring in a replacement. They're looking to try and bring in a top-level replacement for Alexander Isak if he does agitate enough to leave, and Liverpool managed to agree a fee with Newcastle, but they've not managed to do that. They've not managed to reach the level that Newcastle United are looking for, and as a result Newcastle have rejected Liverpool's offer in excess of £100 million for striker Alexander Isak, who of course is training and recovering on his own out in Spain at the Real Sociedad training camp. Newcastle are out in South Korea on their pre-season tour, so he's on his own there, away from the club. I was surprised that Liverpool hadn't made a formal offer with the two parties separated like that. I was surprised if it had gone on into next week, I'd said previously, but Liverpool have now made that formal offer for Newcastle. So in excess of £100 million. We don't know the exact figure, endeavouring to find out. Newcastle have turned that down, but I don't think this is the last we're going to hear of this story.
Do Newcastle want to get the replacement in position first, or if a big enough offer comes in, would they just accept that before having the replacement in?
I think they would need to have assurances that they're to get a player in. I honestly don't think Newcastle want to leave themselves in a position where they have essentially no strikers. All they would be left with is young Will Asula, 21-year-old forward who was bought last summer from Sheffield United. Remember, they've lost Callum Wilson. They need a replacement from Callum Wilson. They're trying to bring in Johan Wissa from Brentford as the Callum Wilson replacement. They've not managed to reach an agreement with Brentford there. That is becoming a bit of a long drawn-out saga in itself. So if they were to lose Isak without bringing in a replacement, they've essentially got no first choice forwards to start the season or to start from. They need to ensure, I think, at the very least, that they have assurances or they've got an agreement in place with, for example, RB Leipzig for Benjamin Sesko. But that isn't close at the moment because Manchester United are also interested and have been holding talks with Sesko's representatives. And I think there's a little bit of an internal worry within Newcastle that Sesko favours Manchester United ahead of Newcastle United, which then leaves Newcastle back at the drawing board again. So, look, I think Newcastle desperately would want a replacement for them to allow Isak to leave. But allied to that is the fact that Liverpool's bid isn't enough. It's not what they're looking for. So, look, Newcastle doing a lot of work behind the scenes to try and bring in a striker. They don't want to start the season with an unhappy striker. They don't want to start the season with someone who's perhaps causing problems behind the scenes. Next week will be so interesting because Newcastle return on Monday, Isak will return on Monday, the two will get down and talk. I don't think we'll get any resolution to this over the weekend. It'll be interesting to see if Liverpool come in with a second offer, but that first offer turned down. Of course, they made the informal approach 2 weeks ago. I don't think personal terms will be a problem, but that first formal approach, a bid in excess of £100 million, turned down by Newcastle United this afternoon. One, they want to keep Isak. Two, the valuation isn't met. And three, as you rightly say, Matt, a replacement is not in place yet. And I think that's key for this deal.
OK, so you expect Isak and Newcastle back on Monday then. And now that we've got this first bid, do you expect things to really accelerate next week? I mean, could it even be done next week?
It could be done next week. Absolutely, it could. I said to you in the last update I did, maybe just half an hour ago, that I don't see this dragging on until the end of the transfer window. Like, Newcastle would want some kind of resolution. I think Liverpool would too. It's the amount of money that we're talking about. It's eye-watering sums of money. I don't think this is one that can be left to the dying embers of the transfer window. So I do expect a resolution.